Amy had a sudden, twisted idea. While making a chocolate cake, she scraped every bit of the fresh filth from her shoe sole and mixed it into the batter. When the cake was ready, she carried it next door and rang her new neighbor's bell. The man, who had only just moved in, suspected nothing and happily accepted the kind gesture. He sniffed the cake, found nothing unusual, and took a big bite. The reason Amy did this was simple. Her neighbor had been driving her insane. Only a few days earlier, the young man had moved in next door. On his very first night, he threw a deafening party. Heavy metal music shook the walls, keeping Amy awake until morning. She dragged herself to work exhausted the next day. Worse still, his friends let their dog foul her lawn. Amy tried to put up with it, but the nightmare had only just begun. On the second night, the music started again. She knocked on his door, and to her surprise, he was polite. He promised to turn the volume down and to keep the dog under control. Relieved, Amy finally managed a decent night's sleep, but at 4 in the morning, the music blasted again, louder than before. When she confronted him a second time, he hurled insults and nearly attacked her. Amy called the police, but they said unless all the neighbors filed a joint complaint, their hands were tied. Helpless, Amy spent the night in her car. Realizing the authorities wouldn't intervene, the man grew even bolder. Day and night, the parties continued, and he began taunting Amy on purpose. Eventually, she snapped. Using a spare key, she slipped into his apartment, smashed his speakers, and doused them with beer. At last, the place fell quiet. But the next day, he confronted her, claiming he knew she was responsible. He demanded money, forced her to hand over the spare key, and still wasn't satisfied. He insisted she buy him new equipment. Amy grew sleepless with fear of retaliation. Things took a darker turn when her beloved cat vanished. She searched the entire house with no luck, but her gut told her it was the neighbor's doing. Soon she heard faint meowing through the wall. The next time the music thundered, Amy sneaked into his attic, broke through the wall, and slipped inside. Beneath the bed, she found her cat dead. That moment shattered her. The cat had been her only family for years. Now vengeance consumed her entirely. At dawn, when the party finally ended, Amy crept into the neighbor's bedroom with a hammer in hand. She raised it slowly over his sleeping head, but just then, a girl beside him stirred. Amy recognized the school uniform and remembered the girl's mother, a notorious local bully. Amy lowered the hammer. A more ruthless, yet safer plan flashed in her mind. She picked up the phone and called the girl's mother. Moments later, a gang of tough men stormed into the neighbor's home. Amy set up a small stool by the door, put on her headphones, and munched on snacks as she watched it all unfold. Her revenge had finally begun.